is good, everybody out there? Thanks for checking in with your boy at Court Thoughts, the channel where we basically talk basketball. I'm a big fan of hard-nosed defense, and I think that very few actually pay special attention to the critical details in being an effective on-ball defender. I've done videos in the past on fantastic defenders. One of the first people that come to mind is Marcus Smart. If you haven't actually checked that video out, please make sure you go and give it a watch. But today's video is on a different player that we haven't actually done a reaction to. And that man is Jrue Holiday. Yes, sir. It's about time. I needed to do a reaction on him. It just needed to happen. He's a fantastic defender when it comes to pick and roll scenarios, as well as just picking and prodding away at the ball. So let's get into the video. Now, before we do that, we actually need to know what video we're watching. We're checking out a video from the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the video itself, I'm going to leave in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. But look, let's get into it and let's check out this lockdown defense. Let's do it. All right, guys, let's check out Milwaukee's video. Let's do it. Picking away at the ball. Smart D there. Active hands. Just a hound. Just a pest. All right, here we go. Tipping in, getting active, not giving him a free run. Punishing him. Oh, hey, they still got the cleanup though. All right, sits in recovery. Good. Staying active in the danger zone, the passing lanes. In that middle lane. Again, look at where he's positioned. He's in that passing lane. Ooh, nice tight seal. Good hands. Just putting a hand up is so deep. It's such a critical detail. Just put your hand up, bro. Get in the way. Fighting over. Still a little bit of space there, but I love that. Love that. Good hip switch. Watch how he's switching the direction of his hips. I promise you, I'm going to be covering that on the detailed analysis at the very end. Easy. Give it a Portis. Yay. There we go, baby. Again, passing lane, split between two defenders. That's a freebie. There, my man, that freebie. Digging. Got to dig away at the defense. Got to be smart with it, though. Jumping in his body there. Easy tap hands. That's a simple thing you can do. Just tap the ball out of the way. Just watch. Tap, tap. That's it. Bang, bang. Just touch it. Easy. Get it. Easy buckets too. A couple of these buckets are easy transition. Pushing over. Yeah. Took away his space. See how he's jammed in his pocket? Fantastic. Look at that. Again in the passing lane. Great spacing by the team. One of the things that I'm noticing is that he's sort of propping his hands out. He's not actively keeping his hands in the lane, but he's just in an athletic stance instead of jumping into it. Great pass. Again, easy transition buckets is definitely going to help your stat sheet. Jumping into his hip. Woo! Was that a walk? All right, let's watch closely. Is this the walk? Oh, Oh, gathers the ball, 2 hands, goes over, then 1-2. I'll probably call it a walk if it was me. But what do I know?
Hey, don't take those, man.
Stays in his pocket, stays in it, yeah, just a pest. There we go. Look at him, sees hands down, starts to get his hand up a little bit to anticipate the action, but he's not sort of really aggressive with his hands. Something interesting. That reach out. How many of these plays have you seen that ended up in fast break transitions? As soon as he picks up the ball there, he's got active hands. Again, he's positioning. He's very well positioned on the floor in the passing lane. Bang. Yep, caught him sleeping. Can't turn your back. Hey! I'm definitely going to be talking about that pick and roll defense. Great position on that pass. Great position on that pass, aiming for the bottom of the backboard. Active hands there. You can't leave the ball out so wide. Bang! All the stuff that he's doing is little tappies things. Yep, see? Again. He's not actually trying to pick someone's pockets. He's just tapping the ball, getting them to lose it. Woo! Fighting. Oh my God, that was perfect positioning. That's perfect positioning, bro. You can't do any better than that. Hey! Yep, see? Oh, lucky. Hey! You got a 7-footer that can jump like that. Again, fighting in, active hands. He's in his pocket. He's in his hip the whole time. Look at him. See how he takes notice of where Tatum was? Positions into the weak side corner. Hand in. Yeah, now he's looking up. He's looking up. Great assist. Great decision making there. Again, passing lane. As soon as he sees the screen come up, he jumps into his pocket. Recognize that was 2 defenders trailing. Good way to get rid of the ball. Good D! Hey, that right there's the vet move. Watch this. If you're jumping out of bounds,
get over here!
You gotta throw it at him. I mean, he threw it at his chest. It was really close. He didn't really have much chance to sort of pick anywhere. Normally, if I'm personally gonna do that, but the defense, bro, cuffed it. I'm gonna throw it at their legs. I ain't gonna lie. Great defense. Goes right over. Doesn't hit him. Doesn't get any contact. Jumps into it. Way to seal the deal, bro. Way to seal the deal. Look. Bang. Now, I was saying before, he's not really going in for those reaches. You know what I mean? There's generally a high count for fouls in those areas, but, you know, picked his moment. I will talk a little bit about how to time your picking for the steals at the end, but again, tapping the ball, just getting control, looking at the fast break, easy bucket. There you go. Keep it simple. Thank you, Milwaukee 5-5 video. Okay guys, it's time for that detailed analysis. Let's get into it. Now, as we're going to be focusing on defensive aspects, the first thing I'm going to be talking about is one of my favorite things when it comes to the game of basketball, and that's positioning. But you would have heard me say jumping into the passing lane. Well, that's the key thing that I want to call out, his positioning in the passing lane. Now, there's two people that you need to consider when you are trying to be in the passing lane. The number one thing that you need to understand is where's the ball, where is the person that you're defending. What I want to do is I want to be positioned that I can have both of those people in my field of vision, and we need to use our peripherals. Little tip that I got told when I was young that sort of resonates with me is that if you have to stand and go like this, you're too far forward. So sit back a little bit and you should be able to comfortably just sort of sit in this lane. Most of the time I can actually sort of sit and I'm almost looking in the middle between the two, and I can sort of keep an eye on where these two people are. Being in the passing lane is the biggest thing that I noticed from those highlights that was helping him get those easy transition buckets. If you want to be effective as a teammate on the court, one of the best ways is to get possessions. I've said this so many times. The more possessions that you have and the more that you utilize those possessions successfully, the better the chance of winning the game. All right? Ultimately, that's how the game of basketball works. And by sitting in the passing lane, we can see that he's in this dangerous spot. If the passer is dumb enough to try and make that pass, well, you can literally just run straight into it. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is another aspect that worked in conjunction with his positioning, and that was active hands. Active hands is all about just not keeping your hands by your side. I did make comment that his hands weren't really wide or like anything that you would see from people like Kawhi Leonard, but you did see that he was in an athletic stance, he was ready, he was prepared for the ball, but what he was trying to do was to tap the ball.
All you gotta do is just tap it in. Just tap it in.
That's all he was trying to do. Just trying to tap the ball. I really think that this is something that I'm going to be taking away from his highlights that I saw today. I think that the aspect of tapping the ball is just a really smart way to maintain possession in an uncontrolled situation. So you generally see it a lot where there's a loose ball, no one's got possession of the ball, and you're coming in. A lot of people will try to get complete control over the ball, and all I need to do is just tap it. If I can tap it into a better position for me to get it, whether I'm in a rebounding situation, I can jump and just tap the ball back to me, secure the ball, come down, and then go into the play that we need to go into. Or whether it's in the situation like we could see there was a transition. You could also see that he was in the pocket, so he's in the passing lane. Boom, pass comes across, he just taps the ball, and he doesn't have complete control, but then he taps it again to get in front and sort of then gather possession. Such a really smart thing. I remember a coach of mine back in the day was mentioning about, you know, why guys like Bill Russell was so good. And a big reason was that when he would block people, he was trying to maintain control. Back around when I had this coach that was talking about defense, he was basically saying, you know, you don't want to have to go up there and swat it away like you're Kevin Garnett. You want to be able to control the ball. And so you look at guys like Bill Russell that would jump up and sort of just touch it and then gather the ball again or straight cuff the ball. Jrue Holiday has definitely paid attention to the details by doing this, by just tapping the ball. It gives him that little bit of control in a moment of chaos to then gather the ball. These things are real critical details that just enable him to be in the right position and to gather the ball is so important. The last thing I'm going to talk about is probably one of the things that he is best at. When I think of Jrue Holiday, I think of on-ball pick and roll defense. Pick and roll defense can be really difficult to try and master because depending on your defensive strategy as a team, or even, you know, not having really good communication, you might be in poor positioning to try and contest for the ball. But one of the things that Jrue Holiday does that really just enables him to be an absolute menace on defense is by jumping the pocket. What do I mean by that? If you think about how a player is positioned, there's one thing that really doesn't move that much, and that's their hip. Their hip is in the most centered part of their body. It really doesn't shift out all that much. Now, the big thing that I've always been taught as a defender is to sit in their pocket. And what you want to do is you kind of want to straddle their hip, if that makes sense. You want to be sitting in that middle line between their hip, so then that way you can keep your hands out nice and wide. If they try to finish, you can sort of get in the way and contest. You're in between them and the basket, but you're basically like a T frame. So you're forming like a T overall between their hip and your hip. You want to make sure that you're riding their energy forward, and what that does is you can help steer them away from the basket, but it also helps in steering them in situations where you need space, like a pick and roll. If we stop and think about a pick and roll for a moment, the player is basically trying to rub the defender off of the shoulder of the screen. So when the screen's set here, I'm trying to rub my shoulder with their shoulder. If I'm marking someone and they're dribbling with their right hand, and I can see that there is a screen coming in on the left, I want to jump into their left hip, and I basically want to try and push them out past that angle. We're not going to try and truck them in the hip and really bump them, because that's going to be a foul. But what you want to do is you want to get into their hip and not let them steer. I then have a better chance of fighting over the screen. Depending on how the defense strategy is, they may play a high hedge or whatever the case is. But by staying in their hip and staying in their pocket, I have a better chance in fighting over the screen, so being less disrupted by the screen. But I also have a better position. Should they then try to drive to the bucket, I can literally bust out into a full sprint, beat them to a particular spot, and make them either change direction, depending on where we are on the court, or just get my hands up, wall up, and play smart defense. I mentioned during the reaction that Jrue is a really smart defender because of the fact that he's not reaching in. And it was funny because I literally say that and then Marcus Smart is picked off in that action. And I mentioned that I was going to talk about timing of steals. One of the strategies that I use when it comes to picking the pocket of a player is when they bounce the ball down, I'm literally going for the ball as it's about to hit the ground. I'm going at that point. And the reason is because I have this momentum that's moving forward. The ball is going down, and as it hits the ground and starts to transition up, I'm then carrying forward, and then I have a better chance of picking the ball. But again, I'm only trying to touch the ball. I'm only trying to tap the ball. If I am going when the player has the ball at the top of their dribble, there is a good chance that they can still control. They can still manipulate the ball. But if they drop the ball, the minute the ball leaves their hands, they have no more control over it. So their job is to try and minimize the amount of time that the ball has to travel. This is why we teach players to drop really low and to get into a low athletic stance when we're dribbling to minimize the amount of time that the ball has to travel. Now, if they bounce the ball and I go at that bounce time, it just really helps with timing. But the reason why I'm talking about this is, number one, hopefully that little detail of information is going to help you in picking the pockets of poor dribbling opponents, but also to remind you that it is a risk. By doing the three things that Jrue's been doing throughout these highlights, by being in the right position of the passing lane, having active hands and tapping and just annoying at the ball, and also by jumping into the pocket of the dribbler, you're just going to give yourself the best chance to actively disrupt the offense, but minimize the amount of fouls that you draw. If you want a bit more of a detailed analysis around great ways to play defense, jump in the comments, let me know. But this was a fantastic video to break down on Jrue Holiday. I'm a big fan of simple basketball. I love the way that he plays as a defender, but the way that he contributes to his team. He's not trying to go down and do all these fancy moves, you know, he's not super creative in the way of on the offensive end like we had with the recent video of Kyrie Irving, or even with other videos like we've had with guys like, you know, Luka Doncic, or the litany of other players that I've reacted to on this channel. But he's able to be effective and creative on the floor by being a pest and then getting easy buckets for his team. It's the reason why he's such an asset, and you want to be an asset too. If you also want to be an asset to your boy right here, there's one simple way that you can do that, and that's by liking and subscribing to Court Thoughts. I'm currently pushing to hit my 10K milestone. I want to get that this year, 2023, so help your boy out. Hit that like and subscribe button. If there's a player that you want me to go ahead and react to, please jump in the comments and let me know. And go ahead and check out my podcast, which is called Court Thoughts Talks. I've got a bunch of people on there, professional coaches. I've got some players coming up very soon, so please make sure you go ahead and check it out. Links in the description. But look, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for kicking it with your boy. And until I see you next time, make sure you're looking after yourself and take care and be safe. All right. Peace.